Blog Talk Radio.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to this lovely Thursday afternoon to What's the Word? Show about finding out what motivates people to succeed in their respective careers. My name is Cheval John, and a very good afternoon to everyone. Today, I am very honored and happy to have two extraordinary people with me today. One is the CEO of Global Speech Translation Services. They're specializing in delivery of multilingual language translation solutions for both the public and private sector. And, of course, one is the president of operations for the company. And their clients they have a huge list of clients, especially some to speak Schellenberger, Halliburton, Shell Oil, Suaco, and Beco Drilling, Aramco, BOA Marine, Exmar, and APG. And the founder is Flor Dimasssi and Thomas Lacombe. So, guys, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Mr. John. First of all, I want to thank you for inviting us. The pleasure is ours to be here on your show.
We appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Well, let's talk about first of all, how did the company Global Speak Translation began?
Dimasssi, you want to take that?
Yes. I have been an interpreter and translator for the past 15 years, and I just wanted to expand the company. This is when I met Mr. Thomas Lacombe, and he had been instrumental in the sales component of this operation. I couldn't do a one-show man anymore. It was just a lot of work for me. And him being responsible for the sales side of the organization has been instrumental, like I said.
You know what, John, one of the things, too, is that, you know, as you probably saw from my background, that I predominantly come from the sales field and the geology field. You know, I'm a geologist by trade, and I went to, well, I have to say this now that I opened this door, but I went to LSU. So to any of my fellow Tigers listening, go Tigers. Plug, yes, I know, but I just had to do that. But no, it was interesting, and I'm going to brag on Ms. Dimasssi a bit. You know, after 15 years of being a freelance translator and interpreter, she developed a tremendous skill for languages. You know, her degree is in international business from the University of St. Thomas, and before that, she was one of the co-founders of the Dimasssi restaurants here in Houston. You may have seen them or heard of them or eaten at one. And, you know, after a while, she wanted to go into the oil and gas arena where she was a project manager. And, Ms. Dimasssi, if I remember correctly, this was one where, you know, many of the project managers were approaching you because now you're in the oil and gas field since you transitioned from the restaurant, that they would always ask you, can you translate this contract, this manual? Is that how it started?
Yes, and it was all technical terminology. And as you know, technical terminology is a language on its own. And I found myself always translating legal technical terminology, operational procedures, technical manuals, contracts, and I became very familiar with the oil and gas arena and terminology, and this is how it all started.
That's really amazing. Now this is the thing. I mean, a lot of people, like, you know, right now, you know, say if you want to go into business or whatever, you know, the lingo is you have to get a business degree. But of course, I didn't follow that track. Instead, you know, I went into the world of Spanish. I got my Spanish degree, and I just trusted my gut in that one. And how did you discover the fact that, you know, hey, this, you know, you can use your language to get into the oil and gas industry, or, you know, things like that?
I think that when I was working as a project coordinator, many companies search for someone in-house that is bilingual to translate these very important documents. Some of them are safety procedures that the employees have to follow. And I found myself not being, at that particular time at the beginning, we're talking about 15 years ago, I wasn't familiar with the process of translating technical terminology, and I became familiar. I went out to the field. I found myself in Houma, Louisiana, many times. A boat will arrive with a new technology, new equipment. I wanted to be there to see how it worked, to talk to the operational personnel, to see what they named the levers, the parts, the process. And after doing all that research and learning about it, then I turned in my first operational procedure, and the Spanish-speaking company was pleased. They liked it because I used exactly what the operators' words and terminology was used. So that's how I discovered it. And I said, this is a fascinating world, and that's all that I was doing after they liked that particular project. Then other departments within the same company were looking for me. So this is how I discovered it.
Well, and actually, Mr. John, if you want proof that she's been in the field, on our website at www.globalspeaknetwork.com, there is one of our web pages where Ms. Dimassi's in steel-toed boots and a hard hat. So for proof that she's been to Houma, Louisiana, and other places.
Oh, yes.
Actually, got back in Mexico with a company that she went with an executive down to go see some Pemex execs in Villahermosa, Mexico, so just got back from that. One of the other things that, I'm sorry?
No, go ahead, I'm sorry.
One of the other things, too, that we have found, and then Mr. Dimassy brings to a huge point, is a lot of companies will oftentimes want to translate their documents in-house. And generally what occurs there is I'm sure they're capable people of doing some in-house translations, but then what happens to the company is that it winds up being a more costly venture for them, because not only now are they having someone translate documents, and translation is a science all to itself. They're incurring that time cost, and then now the cost for the internal people's time who are doing, say, another job. So again, now you have two layers of cost, and oftentimes that causes some internal inefficiencies, and that's why many companies will outsource many of these type of projects to individuals like us, companies like ours, especially Mr. Dimassi's reputation, to do their work in a very cost-effective, efficient, and timely fashion. Because that's one of the areas that, as a company, we're very proud of, is that our focus is always to deliver within budget and ahead of schedule, and that is a process that we follow, and one of the reasons why we have so many repeat clients, because they're always impressed by the level of efficiencies and deliverability that we have as an organization. But I have to say that all that credit does go to Mr. Dimassy.
I definitely agree with that there, and you hit a nail on the head with that, because you said reputation. That's the main important stuff. Like, many people will not understand. I guess I'll say, for example, those that are just about to graduate or are about to head into the workforce, they can't find a job. They get an internship, though it's not paid. Some might not. Some might say, "Oh, I'm just not going to do much," but they don't look at the fact that could lead to something else. And if they don't do a great job, that reputation is going to follow them. Probably for the rest of their career, or something like that. There. Would you agree with that?
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely.
And that's one of the things that, and I will share this with you, is that, whenever we have any type of interpretation or live translation projects and sessions, that what occurs is other interpreters oftentimes want to work with Ms. Dimassy, because I've never, and again, not because we work together and because of her style, I've never seen a better Spanish simultaneous interpreter ever. I could say she is the best in Houston, probably the best in Texas, and might as well say the entire country.
Well, thank you so much.
And could you put that paycheck for me for that one? But no, what occurs is that the reputation that many people oftentimes want to work with her because of her style as a learning opportunity of how to flow in a live arena. Whenever you work in a live session where you have, say, an English speaker, and you have the audiences predominantly, say, engineers from Central South America, then you're brain has to process so quickly what the English speaker is saying, understanding local colloquialisms and humor, and to be able to digest that mentally and speak it simultaneously as they're speaking to you. And again, that's always the biggest challenge, and that's an area where individuals do want to work with Ms. Dimasssi because of her speed of being able to simultaneously interpret. So, and anytime, if we have another project, Mr. John, if you're local, we may just want to invite you to come watch her in action. You'd be very impressed.
All right. Well, I'll take you up on that offer whenever that time comes. But this is a question I have to ask. Like, if you, like, being self-employed, like what Dimasssi, like, she says she's freelance for 15 years, how do you, like, get yourself out there, starting, like, for anyone that's just starting out to be freelance?
Well, this is a challenge, Mr. John. This is a business of word of mouth, of reputation, of doing networking, of letting people know that you're there, and also to understand that even though your business may grow slowly, you have to be passionate about it. It's just like the kid from college that you were referring to earlier, that he may be on an internship that is not paid, but he has to be passionate, she or he has to be passionate about that internship because he will develop into something. Sometimes in our very busy schedule, we go out to network events, and I think, well, this is really not the place for us to let people know that we're interpreters and translators. And believe it or not, just talking to people from every single industry here in Houston and nationwide, there's always a need for interpretation and translation. As long as there's languages, especially here in Houston, there will always be the need of having something translated.
Ms. John, and one of the other things that, and if you boil it down, and that's a very, very good question, too, and I appreciate you bringing it up, is that it all boils down to sales and sales skills. And when you're developing the beginning phase of your translation interpretation business, it's all about the network. It's all about the phone call. It's all about the connections. It's all about the repetition. And sometimes it may not seem to be, let's just call it the sexy process, but it's one where oftentimes it's the small steps, but continuously is what leads to success, and not letting, the door slam in your face and say, we're not interested, to really turn you off. Okay, well, they slam one door, another door will open. And that's how our business has grown, and Mr. Dimassi's business has grown, is because of that salespersonship, let's be politically correct, and so that way we can build our business. But again, all the sales that you make, all the calls that you make, all the networking you do, is all a very frail situation if your reputation and your deliverable product isn't where it should be. And therein comes probably the biggest piece of any company in its repeat business because of the quality that you deliver.
Oh yeah, definitely have to agree with that. And I'm not going to put this company out there, but I don't know. I guess I've noticed how they from personal experience, how their reputation, their delivery has dropped. I guess over the last so many years, and I can say beforehand they were up there. It seems to me as if they don't care anymore about the customers anymore. It's like, that's the problem there. And I could say I guess what many businesses are looking at is just the end goal, making money. They're not looking at the main goal, which is fulfilling a need, for that client. And I think that's a problem. I think that's many people. I don't know. Like, what's your take on that?
Here at Global Speak Network, customer is always number one. We are a boutique operation, Mr. John, and I think this business of interpretation and translation is a business of honesty. Can you really do simultaneous interpretation for a conference of liquid natural gas? Are you familiar with the subject matter? Can you do
yes,
that?
I am. Oh, sorry.
Yes, but this is what I ask the interpreters. Are you familiar with the subject matter? Can you do this? Don't just say, yes, we can do it, any company, if you are really not familiar with simultaneous interpretation and with the subject matter. Interpreting simultaneously and translation, both, translation of documents and live language interpretation, they're both art. You have to convey the message. If the speaker is conveying a very sad message, the audience needs to be crying. If the audience is laughing and the speaker is crying, then there's a disconnect. And that's where the art comes, to be able to deliver the message. Since we work in the oil and gas industry, we have people that even speak English and it's difficult to understand sometimes, like, for example, people from Louisiana. We have had a situation where we were interpreting a technical class, and the gentleman was from, I believe...
he was from really deep South Louisiana, and his accent, Mr. John, was so thick that some of our Spanish-speaking interpreters were having certain colloquial challenges. And I have to say that that's where myself, being from South Louisiana, was able to, I guess this was a tandem interpretation process where we're able to interpret what he said in English to the interpreter who then delivered it to the Spanish audience. And again, these are some of the things that we often have to be prepared for, is because it's the quality that we deliver, and it's not our gain. Because what occurs is whenever we work with, say, technical manuals, and let's just really get down into the granular piece of what we do, is we need to be very focused on each project, because if you're going to translate a document from English to Spanish and it's operational and it's saying you have to turn a knob to the left and then someone makes a mistake and turns it to the right, and it could cause an issue with the equipment, the process, the program. And it's these details that make the big difference of why quality is important and not just the bottom line. Now, we all have to make money. We all do, because we're not philanthropists, and although we wish we could be. But in turn, the bottom line is what's right for the client is right for us. And in turn, yes, we do want to make an income, but again, to deliver a product that the client looks at and says, this is top quality, that's really what wakes us up every day.
Yeah, and that's really great. And now I got to ask about this. Houston. Well, recently, I think it was a couple of years ago, that Houston surpassed Los Angeles and New York as the most diverse city in America. And now, and of course, it's known as one of the energy capital of the world, per se. Now, why is it important for anyone to learn a second language? Because there's not much, bilinguals here in the United States.
You want to take it, Mr. Dimasssi? Well, I'll tell you what, I have a point to that.
Okay.
What's interesting is that...
We both have things to say, but go ahead, Mr.
Well, actually, I like the fact that, learning multiple languages actually keeps us mentally young. So that's one of the areas that I personally like this. But, what you see here in Houston is because we are such a multicultural city, well, I don't know, I know you saw this, but Mayor Anise Parker just recently signed in some legislation, if I may call it legislation, or at least a decree, that she wanted the city of Houston to expand its translation services so that way the city could appeal to our large international growth here, which I applaud the mayor for that. And, we've had opportunities to work with the city, and we certainly look forward to more. But it's one of the areas where, because there is such a large international presence, whether it's Spanish, Portuguese, French, German, Russian, Mandarin, Chinese, Vietnamese, whatever the case might be. It's one of the areas where multiple languages in this city for, say, any business person or any young adult, a student, so that way they can broaden their horizons, not only culturally, but of course academically and, well, in the bottom line would be financially for open door opportunities. Sorry, Mr. Massey, I may have stolen your thunder there.
I was just wanted to make a comment that speaking a second language, people do not realize sometimes that by learning another language, you are really opening a door to a new world, a new way of how people see things differently. In my house, for example, when my boys were growing up, I always had the New York Times newspaper in the living room and Le Figaro, the French newspaper. I wanted just, in no particular reason why one or the other, I just wanted them to know that people see different things, different events, world events, in a very different way. This is what the Americans are saying, and this is what the French are saying. And then I will get a newspaper from Spain, and just to see the different points of views and just how people look at the world differently.
Yeah, and that is key, though. I mean, you know, and of course, you know, like right now, you know, in this you could say it's now interconnected economy. You know, it's really important to have a second language. And I got to ask this, you know, what's the importance of studying abroad for a college student?
Oh, well, I had the opportunity through the University of St. Thomas at the International Studies Department to study in Paris, in France. I lived there for a couple of years. And while I was studying French and French literature, and we got to travel all over, and not only in Europe but also to the Arab countries. I went to Syria and got to see with my own eyes how people live in what they think and how is very different from here. I recommend for everybody to study abroad because that is an experience, first-hand experience that everyone must have.
Yeah, and that is key there, and of course, like the fact of the matter is, you know, but it's ironic that there's only a few that do it now. For let's say, for example, you know, what are you looking for in someone? Like, if you see someone that has a resume and have a study abroad experience and someone who doesn't, like, how do you? But they have the same qualification per se in technical terms. How would you like? How would you decide on that potential applicant?
Well, it's a matter of understanding. It's just simply put, for example, when you're looking at a web page, a company's web page, and that company has their web page translated in other languages, that says something to everybody that approaches that particular web page. Why? Because you're telling everybody, especially if you're a company targeting clients, you're telling that client, I speak your language. I understand you. When we have a particular project, for example, not very long ago, we had a project that needed to be translated. It was an environmental study done in one of the islands of the Mediterranean. And in looking for that translator, we found someone that had experience. In fact, his master's degree was in environmental studies from one of the universities here in the States. So in just looking for the translator, we look for those particular qualities. Who understands the culture? Who can translate this? Because by translating, you are actually, in a way, interpreting the message and writing it down, and that's a challenge for anybody. For example, going back to that technical presentation that we had with a gentleman from Louisiana that it was hard for me to understand. Between his explanation of the new mechanical equipment that he was presenting, he will say a joke. He will tell a joke, but the joke would not translate. So there were moments where I will tell the audience, the presenter is saying a joke, and we need to laugh at the count of 3. 1, 2, and everybody will laugh, and I will get away with that because it was not possible to translate that joke.
Yeah, because what happens, Mr. John, is that oftentimes we kind of have to play some political roles in the field, in live events like live TV, live radio. It's one of the cases where we have to make those quick decisions because we realize that telling a Cajun joke, a Louisiana joke, which unfortunately would not be able to interpret well in the Spanish language because of the cultural differences. And then we oftentimes may have to say certain things that, well, maybe in the interpretation of it may seem offensive in another language, and so thus we have to take that pause, that thought, and in turn take those liberties, and as Ms. Dimasssi mentioned, that the speaker's telling a joke right now, and then turn on the count of 3, please laugh. Well, what that does, it provides a moment where there's not a big pause. The speaker can finish what he or she is saying, and then the humorous component at the end then makes everyone, feel better, especially the speaker, since they believe now that their humor is good in 2 languages. But again, to that point, we have to take these certain liberties for the good of, say, the audience in general. And it's a very exhausting process, but in turn, in the end, that exhaustive process delivers the message that the client ultimately wants and the receivers ultimately hear. And at this point, it's something that we do not take lightly. It's a very serious business for us.
Yes.
Yeah, that's very creative, though. I mean, I would never have thought of that before. That's very innovative and creative. And now I have to ask, did you guys, any of you guys can answer this, have you guys faced any adversity in reaching your goal? And if so, how did you overcome that, and what advice would you give to anyone that's going through any adversity at this moment?
I'll take that, Mr. Dimasssi.
All right.
The adversity, I would say, and that's a very good word. Adversity, challenge, and it comes in all kind of different shapes and sizes. What I found in the biggest piece here, and I guess this is the beauty about coming from outside of the language industries, although I've spoken Spanish my entire life, but now that I'm in the industry, is I see things from a different perspective, and which is beneficial for us. But what I found is, oftentimes is people will look at, we'll just talk cost right now. They'll look at it and say, well, we can handle that project in-house, or we can get a college student to do that project. I have a friend who speaks Spanish or Portuguese, and unfortunately, and I'm sure they're good people, internally, the friend, the college student, but it comes just down to anything, Mr. John, is that you want to have a trained professional like the radio. Can anyone just pick up a microphone and become a radio host? Have that special voice, the tone, the enunciation, the humor, because that's an art, it's a talent that's achieved over time, over years. In translation, it's the same way. And then in turn, if you look at the other challenges and adversity, it all boils down to just simple business. How do you get your business? And that's always the big question. It doesn't matter whether it's translation, it's insurance, it's any other kind of product. You have to have a sales culture. You have to be ready to face those lots of no's till you get those yeses. But in turn, it's that level of determination, passion, skill, and dedication all rolled into one that comes out with a product that a client can say, wow, I finished it. This is my Mona Lisa. This is my Venus de Milo. This is beautiful, and it's timeless. And that particular set-in-stone project you've just delivered to the client is the benchmark of who we are. So that's the end. But to your question, the adversity, it's like anything else. You got to have a thick skin in this business, and you have to have the patience and the persistence and the professionalism to know your craft, to do your due diligence, and to practice daily.
Oh, yeah. That is really true, and that definitely concur with that. And of course, talk about how important is having a link, being on social media.
Oh, that's a big one. Wait a minute, are we going to, Mr. Dimasssi, are we going to give out any trade secrets here? I don't know.
Well, Mr. John, before Mr. Lacombe came into the company as a sales operation principal, I was not involved in Facebook, LinkedIn, blogs, Twitter. What's Twitter? I was like, do we really need to do this? I said, I am a very private person. I don't believe on Facebook, on LinkedIn. And talking to him, I realized that if you don't have a Facebook account, you're not blogging, you are not in LinkedIn, you don't have any credibility. So
wow.
Yes, and this was a new world for me. In a matter of 2 years, I now have 4,700 connections in LinkedIn, 4,700. And that has been instrumental in the growth of our company. These people are people that connect with me. Every day they send messages. And it is not always about the business. It is about what's happening with their own company, what they're looking for, if they have a special need for a project manager, for a designer. We get all sorts of communications, and I think this is imperative to have and to know. I didn't know how to use Facebook because I wasn't interested in having anything like that. I thought it was just for fun and to let people know where you are and this and that. And I found out now that it is a very, very important instrument to have. So I think that.
Actually, and that, thank you, Mr. Mike, because, one of the things, John, is that the social media piece has really been tremendous. And one of the things that, we utilize this, and I really should be somewhat jealous because, we sit here and, we connect with, and Mr. Dimassi's laughing here, my LinkedIn account was somewhat large, and then somehow Ms. Dimassy surpassed me like a lightning bolt because I think it's because of her picture is what it is, so it's her. She's the face of the company. Thank goodness for that. But one of the things is that what I found, and I'm going to take this just a little, not personal, but some of the things that occur is, and you may know this because I know that you're in her network, every month she likes to put a little motivational beginning of the month message, some thought, something that's rolling through her head at the moment. And I've seen her put these things together in a matter of minutes based on some experience. And what happens is it's not the message itself, it's the feedback that she receives. Some people respond back with some heartfelt thoughts to the memory, the message that they read in her email message, and they're quite touching. And one of the areas is that I know that from that perspective, she's connected very well, and not just numerically the number of people, but it's been connected with them at maybe a more personal level, and it truly does share a lot about who we are as our personal company. Is that we treat our clients just that way. Is that personal piece? What can we do for you, not what you can do for us? And that's really what keeps the doors open. It's a revolving door of opportunities for us, but we know that door can shut in a heartbeat.
Yes.
If one of our translators, and Ms. Dimasssi can attest to this, if one of our translators goes up, doesn't do a good job, what happens at that point, Ms. Dimasssi?
Yes, sometimes they need to understand that our team needs to be on the same page at all times. They need to understand that deadlines are imperative, quality of the translation, and some translators do not understand this, but we work with a very, very reliable team of interpreters and translators, and we have become, in these past 2 years, a big family. We all call on the weekends, Saturdays and Sundays. The clients know, the ones that knows us very well, they know that if they have an emergency, they can call us at any time. At any time. I keep my phone on 24/7 because I have teenagers. That's actually the truth. But many clients have called me on Saturdays and Sundays, and they need a translation, or they need an interpreter. Something has happened. So, and I like that. I like that they know that they can rely on us.
Absolutely. It's that connection that, coming back to the social media, is that we want to maintain that connection. So to your question, social media has been a huge foundation for us, where it once did not exist, but now it does, and now it's a pillar that helps support, the other areas of growth for ourselves.
Oh yeah. Now I got to know with time is running short. It's I guess that's what happens when you're having fun. But
yes, we are.
Yeah. But I have to ask both of you guys this. Like the importance of mentorship. Like, how important is that?
Yeah, I think mentorship is extremely important. Ms. Dimasssi, that's really kind of in your area.
Yes, many times I see, and I go back to my point of honesty. When I interview a candidate, let's say, for example, for French simultaneous interpretation, and I see the talent, but I see that they have they don't have experience. They don't know that when you're conveying the message, your voice, the tone of voice that you are using, you need to be on point to, especially on technical terminology. We're talking about very, very specific presentations of numbers, depths, etc. And I see that they lack the experience. I invite them. I invite them to come to conferences. I tell them, show them how it needs to be done, show them a few little tricks here and there in order to be on point with the simultaneous interpretation, and because we all need to learn. This is how I learned, because somebody gave me the opportunity, and we all should return the favor in a way.
And that said, mentorship, and let me just kind of put myself in that position. I continually mentor every day with Ms. Dimasssi because I'm learning the translation industry. And again, she's very generous with her time. And you also find that other interpreters, let's just call them teachers other than mentors, which are both good terms, is that to be a good interpreter, you need to be a good mentor, a good teacher. You teach, you learn, you expand your horizons, and by giving, we grow even better. And I will say on that note of mentorship, although this may tie in slightly, but because of some of the successes, or many of the successes that Ms. Dimasssi has had, is that she has also been nominated for Female Entrepreneur of the Year with the Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. So if there's anyone listening out there with the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce want to put in a vote for Ms. Dimasssi, please do. We'd appreciate that.
Yeah.
In a broader sense of mentorship also, and I want to share this also, I think it's worth mentioning, is that, this expansion of the company, rebranding in the latter part of 2011, really came at a fantastic time for Ms. Dimasssi, and also for myself, being able to partner with her on this project. But again, both her sons, two fine young men. One went to St. Thomas High School. The other went to straight Jesuit. Very, very strong graduates. One son is at Ole Miss, and the other son is about to go to LSU. Go Tigers. But, the beauty, and the reason why I share this is that I think this tells you a lot about her. Single mother, built a business, 2 fine young men, private high schools, sacrificed her time, her energies to make sure that she nurtured both these young men. And also in the broader spectrum of this, we can say that and very proudly and boast that she is a proud single mom of 2 Eagle Scouts. Many families can say, well, I have 1. Well, in this case, by herself, she has 2. And when it comes to mentorship, I could not find a better mentor for for her sons, as well as any future interpreters and translators that want to work with Global Speak Network.
Thank you, Thomas, for that.
Deserved.
And Mr. John, I always say that I spent the best years of my life in scouting. It's a fascinating organization. I'm very proud of that.
Yeah, and of course I was about to lean into that question, but you answered that question. About her, about her, becoming the excuse, because many people have excuses. Oh, I'm a single parent, or this happened to me. I had so many setbacks, I can't succeed. But that basically blows it out of the water. Anyone can overcome that. And I definitely applaud her.
Well, it was like, life threw a huge wave at Miss Dimasssi. And many people could be, could drown in that big wave. Not her. She got on the surfboard and she rode that wave all the way to the shore, enjoyed that view, but at the same time, it was a challenge staying on top. And in the end, she could say that, she did it, she wrote it, and her sons are both in college, and now this is a particular point in her career and my career where now we get to take our past experiences of interpretation, translation, sales, and sales growth, put it together, formulate Global Speak Network translation services, and from here, Mr. John, the entire globe is our marketplace.
Awesome. That is really key there. The world is your oyster, and that is really amazing. And well, I guess with less than 2 minutes, what's your any parting shots to anyone out there?
I'm sorry. Repeat that, Mr. John. I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Any parting shots to anyone out there?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. One of the things I will share with anyone who is going to get into this industry, or any, say, young adult coming out of college, don't look for the immediate gratification. It doesn't happen right now, today. It's not like changing the channel because you don't like that TV show. You want something else. It's an area where you have to look down the road into the future, build your life on your life experiences, past, present, towards the future. Work hard, be dedicated, and if it's in the translation industry, then in turn this is an area where you just need to be dedicated and focused and patient. And for businesses like ours, same situation. You have to be patient, focused, dedicated, and also committed to serving your client. And at this point, for anyone who wants to reach out to our company, you can find us at www.globalspeaknetwork.com. And we certainly, provide guidance to any young adult who would like to, know how we got here. Ms. Dimasssi, how about yourself? Any thoughts?
I agree with you. It's just the same message. Work hard and be dedicated. Love what you do. Put love into it, and be sincere with your clients and yourself, and everything else will come your way.
Awesome. Well, guys, thank you for joining me on today's show, and I am definitely rooted for more success in the future for both of you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. John, for having us. It's been a pleasure.
All right.
Thank you so much.
All right. Now, everyone, that's it for today's show. Next week, it will be 3 shows. On a Monday, I Alexis Bloomer. She's going to talk about her blooming career. And then, of course, on Thursday, I have Lindsay Swindoll. And then Friday, Kimberly Bell on What's the Word. That's it for today's show. Thank you for joining me. Be real and be independent. My name is Cheval John. Have a great day. Bye-bye.